After you finish sawing, you're then going to peel the paper off of your saw piercing as well as your scraps and give your scraps to me. Then we'll start the 3 finishing techniques, and we'll start with filing the edges. Sometime after sawing, while you're filing, I would like you to mark your saw piercing by putting a dot somewhere near the top where I can drill a hole. So you can see that this hole has been drilled through the top of my saw piercing. So take a Sharpie and just mark it with a dot, not too close to the edge, but about that far away. And at some point, I'll use the drill press to drill a hole through it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is begin filing. And we're going to use a tool that is called a needle file, which is a very skinny, sharp file that's used for filing the edges. The needle file will grind down the copper and it will make a smooth finish on the edges. So if we take our saw piercing and we feel it with our fingers, it might feel a little rough and jagged. It's also very sharp. So what we're going to do is smooth those edges as well as round them over so that they're not sharp and they're not jagged. This saw piercing, you can check while you're filing your own saw piercing to see if you've met the standard for filing. So this is like our tester to see how well we've done. To use the needle file, you're going to hold it like this. I usually keep my finger on top. And you're going to press away, and you should feel the copper begin to grind down. So I'm kind of going on an angle and then going over. You want to give it some good pressure, and then you can stop and you can check your work. You can make your file go backward like this as you file, but filing on the back swing actually doesn't do a whole lot to the metal. It's really that forward pushing away that grinds the metal down. So this takes a while because we have to file all the edges on one side and flip it over and file all the edges on the other side. And again, stop and check with your fingers. If you're pressing too hard, you might be filing it to a point, and then you're kind of working backwards from where you want to be. So make sure you're not pressing too hard, but you're not pressing too light. And check it with your fingers. It should feel smooth. It should feel and look rounded. So we're filing all the areas of the edges, even the tips of the ears here that are sharp. So we need to file them so they're not sharp. So I'm kind of keeping my file moving positions until it files it down so it's dull. Be careful that you don't scrape the side of the metal with the file, because we will eventually be sanding the surface, and if you scrape the surface with the file, then it's really difficult to get those scratches out. So try not to scratch the side like that. The round files are good for really hard to get areas like right in here. So you may need to use a round file for the small areas, like in here as well. So this is a task that is not difficult, but it is time consuming. It may take an entire class period to file if done correctly. So you just keep filing and checking to see if it's good. The other thing that we do need to do is file the back of the hole that has been drilled. The metal gets pushed through and kind of builds up on the side of the hole that's drilled. So what you'll do is really lightly, so that we don't scrape the surface of the metal, really lightly you're just going to file that pushed up metal until it's flat. Okay, that feels good now. Okay. So just keep filing. You can check the example. You can also check with me to see if you're doing this correctly. But file till it's totally smooth. If you have any marks that are from the saw marks, then we want to file those out now too. So push away, smooth the edges, round the edges off on both sides of your saw piercing.